On Wednesday, April 25th, the U.S. Supreme Court heard the oral arguments for the landmark U.S. versus Arizona case, which will determine the fate of Arizona's controversial Senate Bill 1070. Outside, hundreds of people attended a rally asserting their opposition to the bill, with a sizable group of supporters also holding a demonstration in front of the nation's highest court. The case focuses on 4 of the bill's provisions, with the federal government arguing that Arizona has attempted to unconstitutionally supersede federal authority over immigration policy. Phoenix attorney Danny Ortega explains how the justice's decision will set an important precedent for state immigration policy.
From a legal front, clearly the Supreme Court is going to have a lot to say about what rights states have to enact legislation like they did in Arizona. SB 1070 is aimed at obligating local police officers to enforce federal immigration law. And that's what the court has to decide. Can they do that?
Arizona Governor Jan Brewer signed SB 1070 into law 2 years ago, but the federal government blocked most of its provisions several months later, right before it was to go into effect. Governor Brewer and other Arizona supporters of SB 1070, like Cochise County Sheriff Larry Deaver, have argued that border states like Arizona must take immigration matters into their own hands because the federal government has failed to do enough to curb unauthorized immigration.
Well, we actually started this argument with taking the federal government to task over their failure to enforce the laws thoroughly at the border and protect our country at that level. And over the years, more assets have been thrown into that. Congress has paid some attention. It's just not enough and not quickly enough. And because it's languished for so far, we now have a serious internal threat from an illegal population, people who shouldn't be here, many of whom are very, very bad people.
While the right has been playing the politics of fear in order to advance hardline legislation like SB 1070, many Hispanic communities feel they are being discriminated against and unfairly forced to live in a state of fear. Community organizer Pedro Lopez was born in California, but spent most of his life growing up in Mexico before moving to Arizona. He drove to Washington, D.C. from Phoenix to participate in the rally and host a 48-hour vigil.
I came to Arizona for the first time from Mexico in 2006, and so our community was a little bit afraid. Our community was being racial profiled by Sheriff Joe Arpaio and other ICE agents around the state. But as soon as SB 1070 hit, it was total chaos. Our parents were afraid to take our kids to school. Our parents were afraid to go to church, to go to the market. And so even our kids are afraid of the police because they think their parents are going to get deported.
Critics of SB 1070 say that it leads to racial profiling, while supporters contend that the law includes language that explicitly prohibits racial profiling. Although racial profiling has been at the center of the SB 1070 controversy, the federal government declined to incorporate the issue into its arguments against the law, instead focusing on issues of immigration enforcement jurisdiction. Kat Rodriguez is the program director of the Tucson-based Derechos Humanos Coalition, which engages in grassroots campaigns against law enforcement discrimination and border militarization in Arizona. She explains how the Supreme Court decision could have far-reaching implications across the country, as a number of other states have passed similar copycat laws.
There are a lot of people in right-wing think tanks that are sitting poised, waiting to see what the results of this decision will be. Arizona, as we've known for a long time, is a test laboratory. It is a stepping place where they create this legislation and establish a precedent and then replicate it in other states. We've seen this happen with SB 1070, with Prop 200, with various things that have come through Arizona in the last few years and have been generated. And there's connections throughout the country of the same sort of players writing the script, and framing all of this.
Justice Elena Kagan will be sitting out on the case due to previous involvement during her time as Solicitor General, leaving an 8-justice court. Their decision is expected to be handed down in June, with people on both sides of the immigration debate watching with anticipation. This is David Doherty with the Real News Network.